This could possibly be my best week ever. Make sure you stick around. I'm going to show you some cool stuff, some high profit items that I sold on eBay, stuff that you can be on the lookout for yourself. Check it out.
So this was an absolute shock to me. I almost threw this thing away. I thought it was basically a kid's toy. It's a vintage skateboard from the 1970s or 80s made of fiberglass, and they're kind of rare. The ones that I found on eBay after I decided to Google Lens it were actually complete with the wheels and trucks and everything. I had the only one that was just a deck. Listed it for like $95, got an offer for $80 in like 5 days. Decided to take it. Not bad for something I was almost going to throw away. So I'm always on the lookout for good tools, and I don't find very many, but I did find this one in the storage unit that I bought actually in a trash can. It's a Wright scaffolding wrench. It's used to assemble scaffolding, got the ratchet part on one end, hammer on the other, and these are definitely a bolo, something you should be on the lookout for. Didn't really pay anything for it. It was in the storage unit, which is already paid for, and it sold for $84.50 in like 2 weeks. So when I found this JVC DVD recorder combo unit at a garage sale for $5, I was pretty stoked. Except when I got home, I noticed that the eject button on the DVD side was actually broken. Like, you can still use it if you push it in with a screwdriver, but I definitely couldn't list it for full price. Listed it for like $105. They normally sell for like $125, $130. Sure enough, a couple of weeks later, a buyer reached out, made an offer of $95. I sent them a message making sure that they knew the eject button was broken. Sure enough, he said he had a remote that would work with this one. He could just use that. He's happy. I'm happy. $95 from $5. I'll take it. So this is a pair of Nike Air Jordan 1 mid-sale, and I'm not really sure what any of that means. I just know that when I see Jordans, I look them up if they're in good condition, and these were. You can look them up by that number on the inside of the tag there, and eBay will basically kind of tell you what they're worth. Paid $9.99 for these from the Salvation Army. I've had them like 6 months. I kind of forgot I even had them until the sale came through, but they sold for $105. So my wife doesn't go to a bunch of yard sales, but when she does, she always finds the coolest stuff. Let me show you what I mean. This is a Mr. Christmas Santa's marching band. Definitely be on the lookout for Mr. Christmas stuff. She paid $5 for this thing, and it's really cool. All the parts and pieces are there, but one of these little hats didn't light up. So I included a video in the listing. I'll play that here. And that is definitely something you should include. If you have something with moving parts like this, you can show people that it works or that it's missing something. Definitely a great tip. But she paid $5 for this thing, and it sold for $135 on eBay. Alright, so I'll admit I've had this vintage lava lamp for quite some time now. Found it up in North Carolina, up in Raleigh. Paid $4.99 for it from Goodwill. And the comps looked like they were in the $90 to $100 range, somewhere in there. But I had the only specific colorway of this type on eBay. So I listed it really high, knowing if the right buyer came along, they could snatch it up. Listed it for $149, turned down several $90 to $100 offers. Finally, the right buyer came along. They paid full price, $149.
Babe, I appreciate you holding my lamp. I love you.
So I kind of paid up for some Ping golf clubs at a garage sale, but you know, Ping equals cha-ching. I paid $150 for a full set, had these Ping G25 irons along with some woods and a putter. Sold the woods, I believe, for like $150, the putter for $50, so I'm in the profit. And these Ping G25 irons just sold for $300. Typically they do sell for a little bit more, but they've been reshafted with a lighter flex shaft and resized smaller shafts for a junior size player. So it kind of hurts the value a little bit, but either way, still a decent profit. I know you guys don't get excited about golf clubs like I do, but if you ever see Scotty Cameron on anything, you want to look into it. Whether it's a hat, a shirt, or especially a golf club, even just a head cover. These things can have some really good value. Picked up this Scotty Cameron Select Newport in a bag full of clubs off of Facebook Marketplace. Paid $300 for the whole bag. Sold the irons for like $650. Sold a driver out of there for over $100. And the wedges for like $30 a piece. And actually put this in my bag since it was paid for. Well, I just found another one that was actually in a little bit better condition, a little bit taller for me. So I decided to put that in my bag and sell this one. It sold for $325 in like a week. I feel like for the most part we all enjoy getting texts from our family members, but some of my favorite are from my mom and stepdad because they're thrift store junkies and garage sale junkies just like I am, but they're not resellers. So anytime they see something that they think is valuable or that I might want to resell, they shoot me a text with a picture and ask me if I want it. Well, I got one of these pictures a couple Saturdays ago, and it was of this helmet. My stepdad was at a garage sale, asked me if I wanted it. He got it for $3. Of course I wanted it. Come to find out, it's a vintage Bell helmet. You should definitely be on the lookout for these. They can go for some crazy money, some in the thousands. This one, the comps were kind of all over the place. It's from 1980. Couldn't find this exact one. So I threw it up for auction, 7-day auction, and it sold for $360. Unfortunately, that buyer didn't actually pay, so I relisted it for $350. Got an offer in a couple of days for $310. Decided to take it. That buyer paid immediately. So shout out my mom and stepdad for this awesome $3 garage sale find. Got a pair of Nikes going out. This is a pair of ladies Air Max Torch 4s. Picked them up from Goodwill. They're really clean. Didn't have to put any work into them, which is a bonus for me for sure. But I paid $650 for them, and they sold for $49.50 in a couple of months on eBay. Interesting sale here. This is my first time selling a magnifying glass. It's made by a company called Eschenbach out of Germany, and I know some German lenses can sell for some good money, especially like Carl Zeiss. I definitely look for those all the time, and those are typically camera lenses. But I paid $2 for these from a thrift store. Figured I'd take a chance, and they're pretty interesting because this handle has an LED light. These two handles are incandescent lights. One's battery powered, the other one you plug in. But either way, I paid $2 for it from a thrift store, and it sold in like 2 days for $65. Really cool jacket going out here, and I'll put a picture of it up here. But this is a vintage Bass Pro Shops nylon windbreaker, just like a lightweight jacket. Really good condition. Saw it at Goodwill. Thought it would be pretty good since it was vintage, and Bass Pro Shops is pretty popular. Paid $5.75 for it. It took a couple months to sell, but it sold for $52.50. So here's another one of those random texts from my stepdad. He was at Goodwill one day. Noticed they had a big box of brand new yarn. I think they wanted like $20 for it. He asked me if I wanted it, and sure enough, I do for that price. It was a bunch of yarn, so I pulled out all the light yarn and put them together in lots. This lot of 4 Hempathy hemp blend yarns sold in 2 days for $34.50. I've probably got $4 into it. So I don't pick up Vans very often. I've never had really good luck for them. For me, they take a while to sell and don't sell for that much. But I found these in West Virginia when my family and I were up there. Paid $2.99 for them. They're in really good condition, even though they are missing laces. And they took a while to sell. They sold for $27 on eBay. So Goodwill had a couple of these boxes sitting on the shelf. They only wanted $1.99 for them, and they're new and sealed. Anytime I see something new and sealed like this, I look it up. Come to find out, it's a control panel for a watercop water system. Still not 100% sure, but they've got some decent value. Picked up like 4 or 5 of them, paid $1.99, and this one is the last one to sell. Sold for $35.50. A couple of hats going out. This is a vintage Montana hat. I believe it's actually never been worn. Looks new. Paid $1 for it, and it sold for $18 on eBay. This is a Ducks Unlimited hat. It's also new with tags. Paid $1 for it at Goodwill, and it sold for $19.50. Definitely be on the lookout for Ducks Unlimited stuff. It always sells really quick for me. Not for huge money, but pretty quick. So I was at Goodwill the other day and came across a couple of these Bucky shirts. Got 3 or 4 different ones. They're all new with tags, all size 3XL, and they're all different themes. I knew somebody out there would have to be as big of a Bucky's fan as I am. Sure enough, they listed this one when I got home, and it sold in a couple of days for $24.50. This is a Bucky's 40th anniversary shirt. This is vintage Berry Baby Strawberry Shortcake. Supposedly she smells like strawberries. She wets when you give her water from the bottle. Not really sure why you'd want that, but...
Here comes the stork with baby spanking new. Strawberry shortcake and one dressed in blue. Little berry babies ever see such cuties?
They drink from a bottle and wet their panties. Strawberry shortcake want more? Mommy asked to test it. Blueberry muffin, you wet your panties.
Berry babies each sold separately.
Grandma want to babysit?
For these sweeties, anytime.
New berry baby strawberry shortcake and blueberry muffin come with baby bottles. each sold separately from Kenner.
Either way, paid $3.99 for it from Salvation Army. She's new in the package. My wife actually found her when we were out shopping one day, and she sold for $34.50 on eBay. So here's a vintage t-shirt for all you chemistry nerds. I'll put a picture of it up here, see if you can figure it out. But I picked this up at Goodwill. It was $1.50, single stitch, vintage, made in Canada, and it sold for $21.95 on eBay after a couple of months. These are boots from the original Muck Boot Company, and typically these things sell really quick, but I've actually had these a while, ever since my daughter and I went up to the 100-mile yard sale up in Virginia. Paid $5 for them up there. They're in really good condition other than they're a little dirty, and I finally got an offer of $55, decided to take it. Sold a pair of Hokos. This is a pair of ladies Bondi 5. They're in decent condition, got a little wear on the bottom. They are missing insoles, or at least they have replacement insoles inside. Paid $6.50 for them from Goodwill, and they sold for $35 in a couple of days. This is a lot of 36 Littlest Pet Shop pets. I don't really have anything into them. Found them in a storage unit that I bought, and I didn't feel like listing them individually. That would definitely take forever. So I kind of threw them on a table, took pictures of them all together, threw them up for an auction. After 7 days, they sold for $56. This is a Netgear switch. It's a ProSafe 24-port switch, FS7 260. Found this in the storage unit that I bought, so this has definitely been paid for already, and it sold for $44.50. This is a vintage G.I. Joe troop transport vehicle. Paid maybe $3 or $4 for it. It was in a bundle deal from a garage sale, and it sold for $50 on eBay. It's actually missing a couple of the parts, and that's why I really like this G.I. Joe stuff. Even when it's missing parts and not in great condition, it sells pretty well. Got a Harley shirt going out. I can't turn them down when I find them, even though they take sometimes forever to sell and they don't bring a whole lot of money. I just really like them. Paid $1.50 for this one from Goodwill, and it sold for $20. Took about 3 or 4 months to sell. This is a JYX smart wireless microphone. My wife and I actually went to an Amazon returns bin store where everything's $6. They throw it out in bins and you go and dig. Found a few things. This was one of them. Paid $6 for it, and it sold after about a month for $34.50 on eBay. Saw this tennis racket sitting on a table at a garage sale and noticed that it was still new and it looked really old. Kind of intrigued me. They only wanted $1 for it, so I grabbed it. Brought it home and looked up this guy, this Butch Buchholz. He retired in 1970, so this tennis racket is probably from the 60s, which I think is really cool to have a brand new tennis racket from the 1960s. Unfortunately, there wasn't a huge demand, didn't go for a whole lot of money, but either way, it's pretty cool. I paid $1 for it, and it sold for $42 after like 6 months. So here's something that I don't buy anymore. FootJoy golf shirts with local golf courses embroidered on them. They take forever to sell. I've probably had this lot of 2 extra large shirts with local courses embroidered on them for 2 or 3 years now. Paid $4.75 a piece, I believe, at Goodwill. Finally got an offer for $20 plus shipping, decided to take it. Happy to see them go.